Hi everyone, tonight, we're crawling inside the busy corridors of your brain, just as you're about to fall asleep. You're lying there, eyes closed, wrapped in your favorite blanket, maybe listening to this, with one earbud dangling out. And yet inside your head, a storm is just beginning. A quiet, electrified storm, neurons firing memories, flickering hormones swirling like soft fireworks behind your forehead. Your muscles relax, your heartbeat slows, but your brain, that thing's throwing an after-hours rave. Right now, as you start drifting, your thalamus, the switchboard of your senses, begins dimming the lights. It filters out external noise, telling your body, shh, something important is about to happen. The cerebral cortex, meanwhile, is prepping for one of its busiest shifts of the day: sleep. Counterintuitive, absolutely. Your brain is one of those people who cleans the entire house at midnight. You might think of sleep as rest, but inside your skull, it's anything but quiet. Brain activity actually ramps up in certain stages, especially during dreaming. And get this, some regions of your brain are even more active when you're dreaming than when you're awake. Scientists have literally watched this on fMRIs, your brain lighting up like Times Square at 2 a.m. So while the rest of your body is parked in neutral, your brain is multitasking like a caffeinated octopus. It's juggling long-term memory formation, emotional processing, problem-solving, hormonal regulation, immune coordination, and oh yeah, occasionally serving up dreams where you're flying through a mall with spaghetti legs. That one's on the house. But there's a practical reason for this chaos. Your brain doesn't get downtime when you're awake. It's bombarded with sights, sounds, texts, emails, existential dread, and an absurd number of snack decisions. Sleep is when it finally gets a moment alone with itself. It's the brain's nightly board meeting, and if your dreams are any indication, that board is eccentric. Now here's a bizarre fact. There's a sleep disorder where people don't sleep at all. It's called fatal familial insomnia. Yes, that's a real thing. It runs in families, and once it kicks in, the brain literally forgets how to fall asleep. People with it experience hallucinations, body shutdown, and eventually death. You probably won't survive that one. But don't worry, your sleep-deprived Googling doesn't mean you have it. Probably. Scientists still debate whether sleep is mainly for memory consolidation, body repair, or emotional processing. It's likely all three. What's clear is this: without sleep, the brain goes haywire. Hallucinations, paranoia, even micro-dreams that creep into your waking life. After just 24 hours awake, your neurons start short-circuiting. After 48, you're a walking, blinking jellyfish with a podcast addiction. So yes, while you're dozing off, your brain is clocking in for night shift. Picture a glowing city, roads lit by sodium lights, trains of thought quietly chugging along synaptic tracks. And on one of those trains is a fragment of today's memory, a half-eaten sandwich, a snarky comment from your boss, that duck meme you weren't supposed to laugh at during class. It's all being sorted, archived, or if it doesn't pass quality control, deleted forever. There's even a thing called glymphatic flow, where cerebrospinal fluid flushes toxins out of your brain during deep sleep. It's like a tiny dishwasher scrubbing each neuron while you're out cold. You may be dreaming of dragons, but biologically speaking, you're getting a cranial rinse. And let's not forget, this whole neural party happens on a 24-hour loop, governed by your circadian rhythm, a delicate internal clock set by light temperature, and your regrettable habit of doom scrolling at 1 a.m. That clock tells your body when to wake, when to sleep, and when to experience that random energy burst at 11 p.m. right before a big test. Thanks, biology. Now imagine your brain right now settling into that loop. You're cozy. Your breathing slows. A slow wave rolls through your cerebral cortex. A few rogue neurons misfire and bam, you remember the name of that one actor from that one show you forgot last week. Sleep magic. Odd fact for the evening: octopuses sometimes change color while they sleep. Their bodies flash, twitch, and ripple, suggesting dreams, or maybe just fashionable nightmares. We still don't know. Somewhere out there, a dreaming octopus is probably imagining it's you. So as you drift deeper, tonight remember, your body may be off duty, but your brain is fully staffed. Neurons buzzing, emotions percolating, ideas germinating. Also, you can wake up tomorrow with a little more clarity, a little less nonsense, and maybe just maybe a dream about skateboarding bees or floating through IKEA. Now relax, take a deep breath, and join me gently on this evening's journey. You don't fall asleep like flipping a switch. You slide into it, slipping beneath the surface, one strange stage at a time. Your eyes close, but the world doesn't vanish all at once. Your brain gradually turns down the lights, dimmer gone. And while you're lying there thinking about whether your foot is too warm, or if that text you sent sounded weird, your body is already making the transition. Stage 1, light sleep. You're barely gone. It lasts maybe 5 minutes. Your heartbeat slows, your muscles relax, and your brain generates what we call theta waves, slow, fluttery patterns that signal the beginning of unconsciousness. You might twitch here. That sudden full-body jolt, like falling off a cliff, classic hypnic jerk. Nobody knows exactly why that happens, but some scientists suspect it's an evolutionary leftover, your brain doing a, "Hey, are you dying?" check. Then comes stage 2, where you start to lose touch with the outside world. It's the bridge between light sleep and deep sleep. Your brain waves keep slowing, but with a twist, random spikes called sleep spindles and K-complexes. These aren't decorative, they're protective. Spindles seem to shield your brain from external noise. K-complexes, meanwhile, are your brain's way of saying no thanks to random stimuli that might wake you up like your cat knocking something off the shelf. Again. Then stage 3, deep sleep. This is the heavy stuff. Your breathing is slow and rhythmic. Your body releases growth hormone and begins real repair work, cellular healing, immune strengthening, memory filing. Brain waves here are slow, rolling delta waves. This is when you are most difficult to wake. If someone shakes you awake in this stage, you'll wake up groggy and mildly convinced it's 1862. And finally, REM sleep, the star of the show. Rapid eye movement. Even if your eyelids are shut, your eyes are flickering around underneath, like they're watching a tennis match from inside. Your brain waves almost identical to when you're awake. And this is where the dreams start to feel cinematic. REM sleep is paradoxical. Your brain is wildly active, but your body is paralyzed. It's called REM atonia, and it's your body's safety lock. Without it, you might try to physically run from your dream tiger, or worse, try to dance. In fact, people who lack this paralysis due to certain disorders often thrash or even leap out of bed mid-dream. That's called REM sleep behavior disorder. Dangerous for bedsheets and marriages alike. Fun fact, sleep cycles last about 90 minutes, and you go through several each night. But the ratio changes as you go. Early in the night, deep sleep dominates. Later, REM sleep gets longer. So by morning, you're basically living in a dream world. Ever noticed your weirdest dreams come right before your alarm? That's why. Scientists still debate how essential each stage is, but removing any one of them messes with the whole system. For instance, if you don't get enough stage 3 sleep, your body's healing process suffers. If you skip REM, your memory and mood tank. And skipping both, well, let's just say, your brain starts inventing friends. Now here's a weirdly irrelevant but real tidbit: dolphins sleep with only half their brain at a time. That's called unihemispheric sleep, and it lets them stay alert to predators and come up for air. Imagine your left brain saying, "I'm gonna nap, now see you in 4 hours," while your right side handles breathing and dolphin taxes. As you lie in bed, your brain glides through these stages over and over. Each one has a purpose. Each one is a piece of a slow, surreal symphony. During stage 2, your brain consolidates memories and skills. During stage 3, your body goes into cellular recovery mode. And REM. That's where the brain rewires itself for emotion, creativity, and just maybe wacky subconscious revelations involving toasters and your childhood dentist. And let's not forget, these stages aren't just nightly maintenance. They're evolutionary gold. Every mammal with a halfway decent brain does this. Even rats cycle through REM. Even birds dip into theta waves. Sleep isn't just downtime. It's a fundamental operating system upgrade. And right now you might be in stage 2, sliding toward deeper waters. The outside world fades. Your limbs feel heavy. Your brain is lowering the curtains, preparing for the main act. A few neurons spark. A memory of a hallway. A flash of color. Something smells like tangerines. You're almost gone. You'll repeat this cycle maybe 5 times tonight if you're lucky. The average adult gets about 7 to 8 hours. Teens need more. Babies practically unconscious most of the day. And don't even get me started on cats. Scientists believe felines might dream of hunting mice even if they've only ever hunted kibble. So tonight, as your brain begins its quiet rotation through sleep stages, know this: you are part of an ancient pattern. A biological rhythm older than civilization, older than fire, older even than language. The same cycle that guided your ancestors through starless nights. The same cycle your dog follows when she kicks her legs in her sleep. It's delicate, it's intricate, and it's profoundly weird. Now let your body relax. Sink into the mattress. Let your brain do what it's always done best: drift, dive, dream. Now that you've slid into the dream-capable zone, let's visit the main act, REM sleep, where the brain turns up the volume, dims the lights, and unleashes the surrealist inside your skull. REM is short for rapid eye movement, but the name barely scratches the surface of what's going on. At this stage, your eyes flick around like you're watching a movie from behind your eyelids, which in a way you are. Your breathing becomes irregular, your heart rate climbs slightly, and your brainwave patterns speed back up to near-awake levels. And here's the twist: your body becomes completely paralyzed from the neck down. Welcome to REM atonia, the emergency brake. Your brain slams to stop you from acting out your dreams. Without it, your dreams could spill out into the real world, and that's no fun for your lamp, your window, or your dog. But it's during REM that your dreams take on structure, emotion, drama. They have settings, characters, even plot twists. Your frontal lobe, the part responsible for logic and rational thinking, steps back. Meanwhile, your limbic system, the emotional core of your brain, gets loud. It's like handing the camera to your inner poet and letting them run wild with zero budget and too much caffeine. Scientists have found that REM dreams are usually more vivid, emotional, and bizarre than those from other sleep stages. You may find yourself flying, confronting old classmates, solving algebra with marshmallows, or riding an elevator to the moon. The logic doesn't have to check out. It just has to feel intense. Why? Because during REM, your amygdala, the emotion processor, lights up like a disco ball. That's why dream emotions are so amplified. Anger feels volcanic. Joy feels euphoric. Embarrassment feels catastrophic. You might wake up feeling genuinely betrayed by a dream squirrel. It's fine. Your brain will delete that memory in a few minutes anyway. Now here's the part where reality peeks in. Your brain is trying to do something useful with all this. It might be integrating emotions, testing scenarios, or even solving problems. Some people have had creative breakthroughs in dreams. Paul McCartney allegedly dreamed the melody to Yesterday. Dmitri Mendeleev claimed the periodic table came to him in a dream. And you might finally understand why cereal feels like betrayal when it gets soggy. Odd fact break. Did you know that you can sniff in your sleep, but your brain mostly ignores smells unless they're dangerous? That's why dream worlds often lack scent. It also explains why someone can light a lavender candle next to you, and you'll just keep dreaming about Lego pirates. Still, scientists still debate the exact purpose of REM. Some believe it's crucial for emotional processing, helping you unload the baggage of the day without needing a therapy bill. Others argue it's about cognitive rehearsal, a way to simulate future threats or complex decisions in the safety of your own head. The problem is, dreams are so weird and unpredictable they defy consistent study. A researcher might spend a decade studying dream content and come away saying, well, some people fly. Some people knit. But we do know this deprives someone of REM sleep, and the brain rebels. The next time they fall asleep, they'll experience REM rebound, longer, more intense REM sessions. It's like the brain saying, hey, I've got backlogged content to air. That's when dreams turn extra chaotic. Like an overstuffed storage closet bursting open, it's an explosion of half-finished ideas, childhood fears, and one inexplicable scene involving Oprah and a koala. Your first REM cycle of the night might last only 10 minutes. By morning, it can stretch to nearly an hour. That means your pre-wake dreams are the wildest, most unfiltered episodes in the lineup. They often blur into the moment you open your eyes, those slippery, fading images that vanish the moment you try to remember them. Speaking of memory, here's another fun mystery. You dream every night, even if you think you don't. Most people just forget. Unless you wake during or right after a REM phase, your brain often files dreams under temporary nonsense and hits delete. But the effects can linger. A tone of sadness, a weird, lingering tension, a sense that you just argued with your mother while flying a hot air balloon through a target. Sometimes people even wake up inside a dream that's called false awakening. You wake up, start making coffee, maybe even brush your teeth, only to find out you're still asleep. It's the inception moment, and depending on the dream, it's either hilarious or terrifying. And let's not forget those dreams that feel deeply symbolic. You might be trying to interpret a repeated motif, like losing your teeth falling or showing up to class with no pants. People across cultures report similar dream themes, leading some scientists to wonder if there's a universal subconscious library. Others think it's just your brain doing data compression and glitching slightly. But here's the gentle truth: your dreams are your brain's art. They're weird. They're messy. They don't follow the rules. And that's okay. You don't have to decode them like sacred scrolls. Sometimes a dream about getting lost in an airport is just your brain trying to find a parking spot in its memory lot. So as your brain sails through another REM cycle tonight, let it do its thing. You might be flying. You might be baking cakes with ancient Greek philosophers. You might just be listening to this very podcast inside the dream, which, let's be honest, would be impressively meta. And if you find yourself dreaming about me narrating your dreams, well, hi, I'm flattered. Try not to panic when I turn into a giraffe. Dreams are famously confusing. And your brain, so elegant, so logical by day, completely unravels into chaos once you're unconscious. Why is it, for example, that last night you dreamt your fourth-grade teacher was giving a TED Talk about cheese on the back of a flying ferret? Well, welcome to the nonsensical logic of dreams, where nothing adds up and somehow everything still feels right. During REM sleep, The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic planning. And oh yes, common sense basically goes on vacation. It kicks its feet up and says, "Good luck, everyone." This gives your subconscious a blank stage and zero rules. Enter your dreams. You can meet people who don't exist. You can time travel, morph into other species, forget basic physics, or visit your high school cafeteria during the apocalypse. And while you're dreaming, it all feels oddly normal. Because the part of your brain that should be yelling, "This doesn't make sense," is currently asleep on the job. What's left is a carnival of fragments, emotions, memories, symbols swirling together like a blender with no lid. And your brain doesn't just let that happen. It actively participates. It tries to weave it all into a story in real time, even if it makes no sense. That's why dreams often feel like they have almost a plot. Right up until your friend turns into a sofa and the sun starts making pancakes. There's a term for this phenomenon: confabulation. Your brain fills in gaps with invented details to maintain a narrative, even if it's nonsense. You dream you're at your childhood home, but your childhood home has 3 kitchens and a rooftop zoo. Your mind just shrugs and says, "Sure, that tracks." Weirdly, this doesn't only happen in sleep. Confabulation shows up in people with memory disorders too. Proof that your brain would rather make something up than admit it's confused. And while scientists still debate exactly why dreams are so fragmented, many agree that it's partly due to how memory is stored during sleep. Rather than accessing neat, organized shelves, the dreaming brain rummages through emotional memories, odd sensory inputs, and stray bits of your daily experience. It's like cooking dinner by blindfolding yourself and grabbing random items from the fridge. Here's a piece of toast. A saxophone. Your ex. Go. Odd fact break. The world's longest recorded dream allegedly lasted over 3 hours. Not in real time, of course. Dream time is famously elastic. A dream that feels like hours might be just a few minutes in the real world, or vice versa. You could have a 30-second nap dream where you live an entire parallel life. Time optional. Sometimes your brain even tries to solve this narrative weirdness mid-dream. Ever had a dream where you're trying to explain the dream within the dream? That's your confused prefrontal cortex slowly rebooting like a raccoon trying to do algebra. Don't worry, it'll shut back down soon enough. And here's where it gets philosophical. Some researchers believe that dreams are a kind of mental rehearsal space, a sandbox for your subconscious. Your brain throws random pieces together to simulate future events, test out emotions, or simply reorganize your inner clutter. It's not supposed to make sense. It's supposed to help you process chaos. Others believe dreams are just noise, static from the brain's background systems firing as they update memories and hormones. In this theory, your brain creates the dream as an after-the-fact explanation for that activity. Like if your legs twitched, and your brain said, "Ah, yes, you were running through molasses in Paris." Makes perfect sense. So which is it, creative simulator or biological byproduct? We still don't know. But maybe that's the beauty of it. Take the activation synthesis model, one of the more famous dream theories. It suggests dreams are your brain's attempt to make sense of random neural firings in the ponds deep in your brainstem by stitching them into images, sounds, and stories. It's like someone threw paint at a canvas and your brain desperately tried to call it art. But there are newer theories too. The threat simulation theory argues that dreams are mental rehearsals for danger. That nightmare where you're being chased by something vague but terrifying. Your ancient survival instincts at work. Practicing just in case you need to run from a saber-toothed tiger or an awkward job interview. Still, even the weirdest dreams serve some purpose, even if it's just symbolic digestion. Some psychologists view dream content like poetry. It may not make literal sense, but emotionally it speaks volumes. And here's where things get extra slippery. There are rare individuals with fantastically logical dreams. These are the folks who solve math problems in their sleep or rehearse speeches with shocking clarity. Their prefrontal cortex not completely shut down. If that's you, congrats, you're basically dreaming on hard mode. But for most of us, dreams are abstract, sometimes absurd, and always filtered through a lens of raw, unedited emotion. You don't dream in paragraphs, you dream in feelings, glimpses, strange juxtapositions, like whispering nonsense in a crowded elevator. So the next time you wake up wondering why you were building IKEA furniture on the moon with a cowboy who looks suspiciously like your dentist, don't worry. That's not a sign of madness. That's just your brain painting with shadows. Let it. And while you're dreaming up moon furniture with your cowboy dentist, your brain isn't just entertaining itself, it's doing something surprisingly practical, taking out the trash. Sleep, especially the deep non-REM stages, is when your brain rolls up its sleeves, grabs the mop, and gets down to housekeeping. You might not notice it, but inside your skull, there's a subtle but spectacular cleanup job underway. Enter the glymphatic system, a sort of nighttime janitorial crew for your brain. It's like the lymphatic system for the rest of your body, but specifically tailored to cerebral waste. During sleep, your brain cells shrink slightly, opening up space between them. Into these channels flows cerebrospinal fluid, gently washing away metabolic byproducts and accumulated toxins. Think of it as your brain getting a soft rinse cycle. And the most famous of these trash items, beta amyloid, a protein fragment that, when left unchecked, forms the sticky plaques linked to Alzheimer's disease. During deep sleep, especially stage 3, your brain clears out this clutter. It's one of the reasons consistent quality sleep is being seriously explored as a long-term defense against neurodegeneration. Odd fact, your brain can weigh about 2% of your body, but it uses around 20% of your energy. That's a lot of fuel. And like any high-performance engine, it builds up gunk. Sleep is how it cools down and cleans the cylinders. This waste-clearing job doesn't happen much when you're awake. The highway's too busy. You're thinking, processing, navigating awkward small talk. The glymphatic system can't do its work until your conscious brain shuts the door and hangs up a little "out to lunch" sign. Which is why your nightly nap is less of a luxury and more of a biological detox. Of course, scientists still debate how much glymphatic cleaning happens in various sleep stages. But what's clear is that the system kicks into high gear while you snooze. It's not the kind of cleaning you'd post about on Instagram, but it might be the reason you can remember your password tomorrow morning. Speaking of memory, your hippocampus, that seahorse-shaped part of your brain in charge of memory consolidation, is also pretty active right now. During deep sleep, it communicates with the neocortex to decide what to keep, what to toss, and what to shove into a dusty filing cabinet labeled weird but maybe important. The hippocampus is like a librarian working the night shift. Today's experience is getting reviewed. That moment when you slipped on a grape at lunch. Maybe it stays. The parking spot you used, probably gone. Your brain prioritizes emotionally charged or repetitive experiences, which is why you remember insults and theme songs, but forget where you left your keys. This is also the moment when synaptic pruning happens. The brain actually weakens some neural connections while strengthening others. It's like Marie Kondo in Neuron Form. Does this connection spark joy? No snip. And it's not just about throwing stuff out. Sleep is when your brain stores what matters. Studies show that learning new information right before sleep can help lock it in more effectively. That's why people sometimes fall asleep reading something and wake up kind of remembering it, though usually with a few new dream-induced plot twists. Dream example. You were studying the French Revolution, fell asleep, and now you vividly recall that Robespierre was a talking sandwich who demanded liberty and mustard for all. still counts. Kind of. Even emotions get sorted. Dreams may feel like nonsense, but they often reflect the emotional tone of your day. Some scientists believe this emotional reprocessing is what gives dreams their flavor, that deep sense of meaning even when the logic is missing. You don't just dream about being chased, you dream about being chased while sad, or triumphant, or vaguely betrayed by someone who looks like your third-grade hamster. And here's the kicker, you're not the only one doing this. Mice, rats, and even fruit flies show signs of neural activity during sleep that suggests memory processing and emotional replay. Tiny brains, big dreams. So tonight, while you lie still and drift further into unconsciousness, your brain is essentially filtering today's emotional soup, strengthening meaningful connections, deleting clutter, washing the walls, filing bizarre metaphors into your dream journal. It's a full shift, which leads us to the odd, slightly spooky truth. The version of you that wakes up in the morning is a little different than the one who fell asleep. Slightly updated, slightly tidier. Maybe even subtly wiser, if only because the brain finally had time to think, without the constant interruptions of scrolling, texting, or wondering if you left the oven on. Tonight, while you sleep, your brain is working behind the scenes. No fanfare, no applause, just tiny pulses of activity, quiet flows of fluid little electrical whispers between cells saying, "Keep this. Lose that. What the heck was this?" And if you do dream of cheese lectures and airborne ferrets again, don't worry. That's probably just the part of your brain trying to make sense of today's leftover input. Let it do its work. You might not remember it, but earlier tonight, somewhere between drifting off and dreaming of underwater libraries, you were reorganizing your entire mental closet. Because while your body lies there like a very cozy bag of potatoes, your brain is performing one of its most magical feats, turning short-term moments into long-term memory. Think of your day like a messy desktop. Open tabs, random files, weird screenshots, and 5 versions of a to-do list. During sleep, especially in the deep and REM stages, your brain finally gets around to filing everything, deciding what to keep, what to delete, and what to store in that mysterious folder labeled important-ish. This process is called memory consolidation. The brain moves memories from the hippocampus, your short-term temporary storage, to the neocortex, the long-term vault. And it's picky. Rehearsed memories strengthened. Emotional events highlighted. Mundane stuff, like the color of your Uber driver's shoelaces, probably dumped into the mental compost. Odd fact, you're more likely to remember something if you sleep shortly after learning it. In one study, students who studied and then napped out performed those who stayed awake and reviewed again. So if you've ever fallen asleep mid-study session and magically recalled that info the next day, nope, you're not cheating. That's just your brain doing the overnight filing. But memory during sleep is complicated. It's not just copying and pasting, it's restructuring. Your brain might break a memory into pieces, strengthen certain links, or even reinterpret it based on new emotions. You might go to bed mildly annoyed about something and wake up furious or completely over it. Sleep doesn't just remember, it reframes. Scientists still debate how exactly this memory migration happens. One theory suggests that during slow-wave sleep, the hippocampus literally replays the day's events in short bursts, sending them to the cortex like little brain emails. Another theory believes REM sleep binds related concepts together, making those aha moments possible the next day. And here's where it gets dreamy. Memory consolidation might be why your dreams sometimes remix real life. A conversation you had earlier, a soundbite from a video, that half-eaten muffin, it's all fair game. The brain is like, let's blend these together into something meaningful. or totally unhinged. Suddenly you're baking with Elon Musk while discussing your high school crush. Sure, let's go with that. But sometimes the memory process glitches. Ever had a dream that felt important, like a message or warning, but you can't recall a single detail when you wake up? That's called dream amnesia. It happens because the neurochemical cocktail during REM sleep, specifically low levels of norepinephrine, makes it harder to transfer dream content into long-term memory. Dreams don't always get saved. They're more like Snapchat memories, brief, vivid, and gone before you blink. Sleep also influences procedural memory, the how-to kind. Learning to play an instrument, ride a bike, or speedrun a video game. Your brain is practicing that in your sleep. It's the behind-the-scenes rehearsal, free from embarrassment, gravity, or real-world judgment. And guess what? The reverse is true too. If you don't get enough sleep, your ability to form new memories takes a hit. A tired brain can absorb information, sure, but storing it, not so much. Sleep deprivation is like trying to save files on a USB drive made of pudding. Another odd gem: false memories may also be sleep-related. The same neural processes that help you organize real memories can sometimes lead to invented ones. If the brain links two unrelated ideas tightly enough, it might later present them as fact. So yes, you may remember that thing your cousin definitely didn't say in 2014. Blame your dream editor. Still, the act of forgetting is just as essential. Imagine remembering everything, every face on the train, every idle thought, every menu item you didn't order. You'd drown in data. Sleep is when your brain curates your experience, chooses a narrative, and deletes what doesn't serve the story. Some researchers even compare the dreaming brain to a compression algorithm, like a clever software that reduces massive daily experiences into bite-sized emotional highlights. Sad moment at lunch, keep that. Random email chain, delete. Nighttime is your brain's greatest editor and its moodiest director. And for all this heavy lifting, you don't feel a thing. You just lie there, maybe snore a bit, maybe roll over once or twice. Meanwhile, inside your skull, it's Grand Central Station neurons flashing memories, moving hormones, whispering commands like invisible night shift workers. You are becoming someone slightly more you every night. A little sharper, a little more emotionally tuned, a little more U-shaped in the soft darkness. So the next time you fall asleep, mid-lecture, mid-page, or mid-podcast, don't beat yourself up. Your brain's probably thinking, finally some peace and quiet. Let's actually learn something. Rest easy. Memory never sleeps. Now imagine this. You're in a dream, and suddenly, you realize you're dreaming. Maybe the sky has turned green. Maybe your dog is giving a TED Talk. Maybe your high school locker just became a spaceship. And then click something inside you goes, wait a minute, this isn't real. Welcome to the wild and glitchy world of lucid dreaming, where your brain not only dreams, but becomes aware of it, and sometimes even lets you take the wheel. Lucid dreaming is rare, but not unheard of. Studies suggest about 55% of people experience at least one lucid dream in their lifetime, and around 23% have them regularly. In these dreams, you might be able to fly, breathe underwater, or confront that recurring squirrel that always steals your lunch. But here's the twist. Lucid dreams aren't just dreams with better special effects. They're a neural balancing act between sleep and wakefulness. In these moments, certain areas of your brain, especially the prefrontal cortex, the rational, logical bit that usually takes a nap during REM, suddenly light back up. You become meta-aware. You're dreaming, and you know you're dreaming. And once that switch flips, anything can happen. Some lucid dreamers fly. Others explore imaginary cities, create art, or visit people they miss. A few even practice real-world skills. Athletes rehearse moves, public speakers rehearse speeches. There are reports of musicians composing melodies mid-dream, then waking up and writing them down. Your brain becomes your personal holodeck. Odd fact, Tibetan Buddhist monks have practiced a version of lucid dreaming for centuries called dream yoga. Their goal isn't to fly or punch dream monsters, it's spiritual awareness. They believe mastering dreams helps unlock insight about the mind and its illusions. Deep stuff. Not recommended after a burrito. Of course, lucid dreaming isn't always rainbows and lucid jetpacks. For some people, realizing they're in a dream can trigger sleep paralysis, that eerie moment when your mind wakes up but your body hasn't caught up. You're aware, but can't move. It can feel terrifying, especially when your half-asleep brain fills in the blanks with shadowy figures or creepy whispers. Science explains this as your REM atonia still being active, your body's in safety lock mode, even though the lights are back on upstairs. And here's the unsettling part. Some people intentionally try to induce lucid dreams. They use techniques like reality checks during the day, asking, "Am I dreaming?" every few hours, keeping a dream journal to improve dream recall and spot patterns. Mnemonic induction of lucid dreams, mild, which involves waking up after 5 hours, repeating to yourself, "I will know I'm dreaming," and then going back to sleep. And of course, the classic wake back to bed WBTB method, wake up, stay awake for a bit, then go back to sleep during a REM-heavy window. Some even experiment with external cues like flashing lights or audio prompts that play while you're dreaming. The idea is to sneak reminders into the dream world like a notification that says, "Hey buddy, this isn't real." Wanna-fly scientists still debate whether lucid dreaming is safe for everyone. Some worry it may fragment sleep or blur the boundary between waking and dreaming for people already prone to dissociation or sleep disorders. But for most folks, it's more like night surfing through your own subconscious. And it reveals something strange: your dream self isn't totally passive. Even when you don't realize you're dreaming, there's often a tiny you in the background, reacting, choosing, shaping the story. Lucid dreaming just pulls that self into the spotlight. But what does it all mean? Why does the brain allow this moment of self-awareness in the middle of unconscious chaos? Some neuroscientists suggest it's a sign of metacognition, your ability to think about thinking. Others believe lucid dreams happen when your brain gets confused, caught in REM sleep, but with a flicker of waking activity. It's like someone accidentally turned on both the dream projector and the lights. Either way, it's a powerful reminder your brain is a storytelling machine. Even when unconscious, it spins narratives, builds characters, invents landscapes. And sometimes, just sometimes, it lets you peek behind the curtain and say, "I see what you're doing. Let's rewrite this one." One last fun wrinkle: some lucid dreamers report that trying to control too much breaks the dream. The scene fades. The world collapses. They wake up. It's as if the subconscious has boundaries. You can steer, sure, but don't press all the buttons. So tonight, if you catch yourself in a dream, if the sky is purple and your hands have 12 fingers, try it. Ask, "Am I dreaming?" Look at your hands. Spin in place. You might find yourself inside a sandbox made of thought, emotion, and memory waiting for you to play. And if not, no worries. Your brain's still got plenty of strange stories to show you on its own. Let's dim the lights just a little more and walk into a shadowy corner of the mind where dreams take a darker turn and your brain runs its own private horror film festival. That's right. It's time we talk about nightmares. You've had them. We all have. They might start normally: a stroll in a city, a familiar face, a room that feels almost right. But then the air thickens. Someone's chasing you. You forget how to run. a shadow moves against logic. Suddenly, the dream cranks the tension until you wake with your heart racing and your sheets all tangled like you were auditioning for a thriller. But what causes nightmares? Well, your brain has a few theories. First off, nightmares often spike during REM sleep, when your dreaming brain is in full swing, and your emotional processing centers, especially the amygdala, are lit up like a Christmas tree. The amygdala is in charge of fear, and during nightmares, it goes on a joyride, or rather, a terror ride. Now here's where it gets oddly poetic. Nightmares may have evolved to protect us. Some researchers argue they're like internal danger drills, mental simulations of threatening situations, so we can practice our response. It's like your brain saying, here's what it would feel like to be chased by a bear made of unpaid taxes. Learn something. In fact, threat simulation theory suggests that these dark dreams serve an ancient purpose, keeping our survival instincts sharp. When dreams involve fear, running, or hiding, they often activate the exact same neural circuits we'd use in real life. Your body's paralyzed during REM, but your brain is sprinting. Scientists still debate this theory, of course. Some believe nightmares are just emotional spillover stress trauma, or even spicy food turning your REM into a haunted house. But others believe these dreams play a deeper role in emotional processing. Fear, after all, needs somewhere to go. And weirdly, nightmares can sometimes help. People who work through nightmares in therapy or even rewrite them using lucid dreaming report fewer symptoms of anxiety and PTSD. It's like finding the controls inside the chaos. Odd fact, some people have recurring nightmares that never change. The same hallway, the same voice, the same unresolved moment. It's thought that these dreams get stuck in the brain, looping until the underlying emotion is processed. Like a movie that won't stop buffering. There's even a condition called nightmare disorder where frequent intense nightmares disrupt sleep and daily life. It's not just a bad dream. It's a pattern often linked to trauma, depression, or anxiety. For some, the fear of sleeping becomes worse than the nightmare itself. And then there are children, nightmare central. Their brains are still learning how to regulate emotions, separate fantasy from reality, and lock down memories. Combine that with vivid imaginations and a complete lack of adult chill. Boom. Nightmare fuel. One common nightmare in kids: being abandoned. In adults, falling, being chased, teeth falling out. These themes show up across cultures, across languages. Scientists wonder if there's a universal library of symbolic fear woven into the human brain. Falling, fear of failure. Teeth, fear of powerlessness. Being chased, fear of unresolved conflict. Or maybe your dream just decided to freak you out for fun. And then, of course, there's the bizarre nightmare mashup where the scary part sneaks in sideways. You're at a birthday party. Balloons. Cake. Everyone's laughing. But there's a sense of dread. The sky is too dark. The music's too slow. And you just know something's wrong. That creeping unease, your brain crafting horror not with monsters, but with atmosphere. Which, by the way, is way worse. Thanks, brain. Here's the silver lining. Your brain remembers nightmares more than regular dreams because of the emotional charge. Fear burns deeper neural pathways. That's why a normal dream dissolves, but a nightmare clings like a sweaty t-shirt. But don't panic, there are ways to soften the edges. Studies suggest sleep hygiene can reduce nightmares. That means avoiding screens before bed, keeping a consistent bedtime, skipping late-night horror movies, unless you want to dream about sentient ceiling fans. You can also try dream rehearsal therapy, literally rewriting the nightmare while awake. You imagine a different ending, a safer setting. Do it enough and your brain starts to reroute. It's like cognitive behavioral therapy for the dreaming mind. And for the brave among us, lucid dreamers sometimes face their nightmares head-on. They turn toward the monster, ask it a question, or hug it. Seriously, some dreamers report that confronting the threat transforms the dream entirely. The demon turns into a friend. The fire becomes a doorway. Fear, when faced, dissolves. So if tonight your dream takes a wrong turn, if the walls close in or you hear footsteps that shouldn't be there, remember it's not real. Your body is safe. Your mind is processing something. Maybe a stressor, maybe a memory, maybe just a weird burrito. Your brain isn't trying to hurt you. It's trying to heal. It's a clumsy, dramatic, deeply creative healing process. But healing nonetheless. And if your nightmare involves giant bees performing jury duty while whispering your insecurities, well, tell them to buzz off. At some point tonight or on some night very soon, you'll dream something so real you won't even question it. You'll be there inside it, reacting, laughing, maybe panicking, utterly convinced it's the waking world. And when you wake up, that moment of disorientation, when the walls of your room feel too solid, your alarm clock too loud, your body too heavy, is the echo of one simple question. How does the brain tell the difference between a dream and reality? Short answer, it's not always very good at it. Your brain, that reliable narrator of your daily life, is surprisingly easy to fool. During REM sleep, your sensory processing is nearly identical to waking states. Vision, hearing, even touch, your brain simulates them all with shocking accuracy. Dream coffee smells like coffee. Dream heartbreak aches in the chest. Dream applause feels warm and earned. And the wildest part, your frontal cortex, the logical fact-checker, stays mostly asleep. That's why when your pet penguin drives you to work and the elevator is made of soup, your brain shrugs and says, "Yeah, that makes sense." No notes. The distinction between dream and waking life mostly rests on continuity. In waking life, events link together in predictable sequences, cause and effect, memory and momentum. But in dreams, it's a patchwork. Scene jumps, time loops. You're 12 years old one moment and arguing with your boss the next. That narrative instability is a big red flag if you're conscious enough to notice. Scientists still debate what allows us to reality test while dreaming. Some suggest we rely on emotional coherence. If we feel grounded and logical, we're more likely to believe something is real. Others argue that dream realism is tied to neurological shortcuts. Your brain simulates just enough detail to convince you, then hides the rest in fog. Think of it like a video game that only renders what's in your field of vision. Turn around fast enough, and maybe the dream scene doesn't load in time. Ever had a dream hallway that changed behind you? That's lazy dream programming. Or creative genius. Hard to tell. And then there's false awakenings, that frustrating glitch where you dream that you've woken up. You get out of bed, start your morning routine, maybe even brush your teeth, only to realize something's off. The clock's melting. Your phone's made of bees. You're still dreaming. It's unnerving. And it happens more than you think. In one study, lucid dreamers were asked to identify what made dreams feel real. The most common answers: emotion, setting, familiarity, and physical sensation. If those boxes are checked, the dream gets a pass, real enough. And your sleeping brain rarely double-checks the fine print. Odd fact break. There's a rare condition called aneroid syndrome, where people become trapped in vivid dreamlike states even while awake. It's usually linked to severe neurological trauma or psychosis, and the person may not be able to distinguish reality from internal hallucination. Basically, the dream state leaks into daylight. But even without a clinical condition, we've all felt those moments, the déjà vu, the foggy recall, the moment when you question if something actually happened. Dreams can do that. They embed emotional memories so vividly that the content feels true even if it's not. Ever been mad at someone over something they did in a dream? Yeah. Blame your limbic system. It doesn't care whether the betrayal happened in real life or in a cornfield full of Shakespearean frogs. It felt real, and that's enough for your body to hold a grudge for hours. Interestingly, people who experience lucid dreaming more often tend to have better dream-reality boundaries. They question the world around them more frequently, even when awake. It's like living life with a small part of your mind whispering, "This might still be the dream." Some researchers think this ability is a sign of metacognitive awareness, your brain's ability to monitor its own processes. Others just call it being mildly paranoid in a charming way. But here's the beautiful part. Even if your brain gets confused, even if the line between dream and waking blurs a little too much, you always come back. You wake. You reorient. You feel the weight of the blankets, the softness of the pillow, the comfort of your room. Reality, though occasionally glitchy, is persistent. And it makes you wonder if dreams can feel real and reality can sometimes feel like a dream. Then maybe the boundary isn't a wall. Maybe it's more like a curtain, thin, shifting, and sometimes transparent when the light hits just right. Maybe part of the reason we dream is to practice living with ambiguity, to dance with uncertainty, to let go of control, to feel without fact-checking. So if you wake up tomorrow, confused if the memory of a dream clings to your skin like humidity, don't worry. That's your brain recalibrating, realigning the compass, sorting through emotion, memory, imagination, and deciding which world to step into next. And maybe, just maybe, this one will be the dream where everything finally makes sense. Spoiler, it won't, but it'll feel just real enough. You've made it halfway through the night now. If sleep were a movie, you'd be in the second act, the part where things start to unravel in interesting ways. And while you're still lying there drooling slightly onto your pillow, don't worry. I won't tell something strange is beginning to happen. Your brain is starting to lose its grip, not on reality exactly, but on coordination, mood, memory, and basically everything that makes you you, because this is what happens when you're sleep-deprived. Let's step out of dreamland for a moment and take a look at what your brain looks like when you don't get enough sleep. Spoiler alert, it's a hot mess. The first thing to go, focus. Your brain's ability to filter distractions and maintain attention starts collapsing after just one missed night of decent sleep. It's like your mental air traffic control takes a smoke break and leaves your thoughts circling overhead. Studies show that after 17 hours awake, your performance is equal to someone with a blood alcohol content of 0.5%. Stay awake for 24 hours. Now you're cognitively on par with someone who's legally drunk. And unfortunately, there's no breathalyzer for poor judgment caused by sleep deprivation. Just your group chat wondering why you sent a photo of your ear at 3 a.m. And then there's emotion. You'd think being tired would make you numb. Nope. It makes you dramatic. Your amygdala becomes 60% more reactive. So things that would normally cause mild annoyance, like stubbing your toe or realizing you left your coffee on the roof of your car, now feel like catastrophic betrayals. You become the main character in your own soap opera. Scientists still debate whether this emotional overreaction is evolutionary. Maybe a tired brain turns up emotional signals to seek help, or just a side effect of being too exhausted to self-regulate. Either way, everything feels louder, brighter, and slightly more insulting. But wait, it gets weirder. As you lose sleep, your default mode network, the part of your brain associated with introspection and self-awareness, starts glitching. You begin zoning out mid-conversation, forgetting why you entered a room, or having internal monologues that sound like a badly written sci-fi script. And sometimes, if the sleep loss goes on long enough, you start dreaming while awake. These are called micro-sleeps, brief involuntary lapses in consciousness. that last for a few seconds. Your eyes may be open, you may even be mid-sentence, but inside the lights flicker out. Your brain hits the power button whether you like it or not. People have literally hallucinated from exhaustion. That's how vital sleep is. You don't just crave it, you require it to function in reality. Odd fact break. In 1964, a high school student named Randy Gardner set the record for the longest time without sleep, 11 days. By the end, he was hallucinating, slurring speech, becoming paranoid, and confusing objects with people. He eventually slept for 14 hours straight. Doctors now consider the stunt wildly irresponsible and highly dangerous. So yeah, don't try this at home. And if you're thinking, I'm fine, I only need 4 hours of sleep, statistically, you're probably wrong. There's a rare gene mutation that allows some people to thrive on 4 to 5 hours a night, but it's about as common as being struck by lightning twice. For the rest of us, short sleep is like putting diesel in a sports car. It'll run until it doesn't. Chronic sleep deprivation impacts immune function, increasing your risk for infections. It messes with metabolism, encouraging weight gain. It can even mess with memory, making it harder for your brain to store long-term information even while you're trying to pay attention. In fact, one study showed that sleep-deprived people are worse at recognizing facial expressions. So not only are you more emotional, but you're also worse at reading others' emotions. Combine those two things, and congratulations, you are now walking chaos. And here's a scary twist. Sleep deprivation can even interfere with dreaming. If you consistently miss out on REM sleep, your brain begins to compensate. It crams more REM into your next sleep cycle, a phenomenon called REM rebound. The dreams become more intense, emotional, sometimes disturbing. You've likely felt it after an all-nighter, that weird, hyper-vivid dream that felt a little too much. That's your brain panicking, trying to catch up. Some researchers believe that's part of why people with chronic insomnia often experience fragmented, disturbing dreams. It's not just exhaustion, it's an entire neural traffic jam where emotion, memory, and logic all try to squeeze through at once. So if you're lying in bed right now scrolling or working or telling yourself, I'll sleep when I'm dead, bad news. Sleep deprivation brings you closer to that deadline. A little dramatic, sure, but also statistically true. And look, we get it. Life is busy. The world doesn't pause for rest. But your brain doesn't care about your schedule. It's working off a 200,000-year-old operating system, and that system needs maintenance every single night. So be kind to your neurons. Let them clean. Let them process. Let them dream about floating through the sky with a sandwich-shaped hot air balloon. That's self-care, baby. You'll wake up funnier, faster, kinder, sharper, and maybe slightly more patient when someone finishes the coffee and doesn't make more. Sleep isn't the enemy of productivity. It's the secret weapon. And with that, maybe it's time to stop reading, close your eyes, and let your brain do what it does best. By now, you've probably accepted that your dreams are strange. But you're not the only one dreaming out here. In fact, tonight, while you're floating through a surreal landscape made of melted clocks and confused ex-boyfriends, there's a rat somewhere dreaming about navigating a maze, a cat twitching gently, reliving a hunt, maybe even a cuttlefish flashing its colors in its sleep, replaying some underwater drama. Do animals dream? Short answer, yes. Long answer, also yes. But it's incredibly weird and adorable. Let's start with the basics. All mammals studied so far show signs of REM sleep. Yes, even your dog, whose legs start twitching violently while she softly whimpers at 2 a.m. That's not random muscle spasming, that's dreaming in progress. Scientists have recorded neural activity in sleeping rats and discovered that during REM sleep, their brains replay patterns that match earlier maze experiences. That means a rat can dream about running a maze the same day it ran it while awake. You can almost imagine it dreaming of victory, tiny paws pattering over tiny imaginary cheese. But this goes even further. Birds also show REM sleep. Zebra finches, for instance, appear to replay their songs in sleep. Baby birds especially show nighttime bursts of brain activity that mimic their daytime learning, like tiny DJs remixing their own lullabies. Odd fact, dolphins and some species of whales sleep with half their brain at a time, a process called unihemispheric slow-wave sleep. One hemisphere remains awake to keep them breathing and alert for danger while the other rests. It's like split-screen dreaming. Makes your dual monitor setup feel pretty basic, huh? But back to the land mammals, have you ever watched a dog sleep, twitching paws, subtle tail flicks, soft barks, sometimes even a full-body jolt? Researchers believe dogs dream similarly to us, possibly replaying their day. And considering how much time they spend sniffing the same patch of grass, we can only imagine their dreams are heavy on the olfactory drama. Cats, same deal, especially kittens. In fact, Michel Jouvet, a French neuroscientist, studied sleeping cats in the 1960s and found that when he disabled the brain region responsible for REM paralysis, the cats acted out their dreams, stalking, pouncing, and sometimes attacking invisible prey. Creepy, a little. Fascinating, absolutely. So what's going on here? Why would evolution gift the ability to dream to animals? Scientists still debate the why, but the leading theory is that dreams serve memory consolidation and emotional processing, not just for us, but for all creatures with complex brains. Sleep, especially a REM, may help animals learn tasks, adapt behavior, and process emotional stimuli. If a mouse escapes a trap during the day, maybe that stressful memory is replayed and analyzed at night, sharpening its survival instincts. Now take this further, some cuttlefish display REM-like twitching and eye movement in sleep. Cuttlefish are cephalopods, meaning they're not even mammals, but they're famously smart. They've got color-changing skin, problem-solving brains, and incredible memories. The idea that something so alien might dream challenges everything we thought we knew about consciousness. And that brings us to a juicy question. What does this mean about awareness? If animals dream, does that mean they have imaginations? Do they experience a dream self? Do they have nightmares? There's no clear answer. We can't exactly interview a golden retriever and ask if the mailman in his dream looked different this time. But the neural evidence is growing. Dreaming might not be an exclusive club for humans after all. We're beginning to realize that consciousness might be more of a spectrum than a binary. Maybe your dog dreaming of chasing a tennis ball across an infinite green field isn't all that different from you dreaming of missing a flight while being chased by a giant floating version of that same dog. That's a real dream someone had, by the way. Probably. And what about animals that experience trauma? Veterinarians and animal psychologists have observed PTSD-like symptoms in dogs, horses, even elephants. If these creatures can process trauma, can remember, and can fear, why wouldn't they also dream of those events? Could dreams be part of the healing process for them too? And now maybe you're wondering about your own pets. That sleepy cat curled up at your feet. She might be navigating a jungle. Your parrot, possibly reliving that time it bit your uncle and got away with it. The goldfish. Okay, fine, probably not dreaming. Fish don't have REM sleep. But still, the animal kingdom is more dream-laden than we once thought. Odd fact. The platypus, arguably nature's weirdest mistake and/or masterpiece, has more REM sleep than any other animal studied. It might spend up to 8 hours in REM, and researchers have no clue what it could possibly be dreaming about. Electric fields, muddy tunnels, existential confusion. So tonight, as you drift off, remember you're not alone. You're part of a secret global network of dreamers, dogs, cats, rats, crows, maybe even a sleepy octopus slowly changing colors in its tank. We are all made of neurons' electricity and a shared need to rest, recover, and imagine. So the next time you see your dog kicking in her sleep or your cat doing weird lip twitches mid-nap, don't wake them. They might be right in the middle of the best dream they'll ever have. And now we arrive at the biggest, most slippery question of them all. Why do we dream at all? We've wandered through the science of REM, the tangled weirdness of dream logic, the emotional firestorms of nightmares, and the surprisingly active dream lives of animals. But none of that fully answers the question. What is the actual purpose of dreaming? And here's the cozy, slightly unsettling truth no one knows for sure. After centuries of myths, decades of lab studies, and enough electrodes stuck to sleeping heads to power, a small village dreams remain one of the brain's most persistent mysteries. But science, ever curious, has given us some compelling theories. Let's start with the oldest one in the book, Wish Fulfillment. Good old Sigmund Freud. Back in 1899, he published The Interpretation of Dreams, suggesting that dreams were the disguised expression of repressed desires. According to Freud, your dream about being late to school, definitely about sex. Your dream about flying, also sex. Your dream about standing in a dark hallway eating pickles, well, he'd figure out a way to make it about sex, too. Freud's influence shaped dream interpretation for a century, but modern neuroscience has politely disagreed. Today, one of the leading theories is the activation synthesis model proposed by Hobson and McCarley in the 1970s. According to this idea, during REM sleep, your brainstem fires off random signals activating different parts of the cortex visual auditory motor. Your brain, being a story-loving organ, tries to stitch these random fragments into a cohesive narrative. That's why dreams often feel like they almost make sense until you realize you're swimming through pudding while applying for a mortgage from a talking chandelier. So are dreams just brain static? Meaningless noise stitched into stories, maybe, but not everyone's convinced. The threat simulation theory, which we touched on earlier, argues that dreams have evolutionary value, allowing our ancestors to mentally rehearse escape from predators, conflict scenarios, or emotionally intense situations. If your dream self dies, your real self learns something, maybe. Then there's the emotional regulation theory, which suggests that REM dreams help us process difficult feelings. That breakup, that awkward comment you made in a meeting, that unresolved memory of dropping your ice cream in front of your crush in 8th grade. Dreams offer a sandbox where emotions are rerun, exaggerated, recontextualized, and sometimes softened. In this view, a dream isn't nonsense. It's a messy therapy session without the copay. And then there's memory consolidation. We've talked about how your brain replays and reorganizes memories during sleep. But some scientists believe dreams are the conscious experience of that memory, sorting like seeing the raw footage while the brain is editing the movie. That would explain why dreams often contain recent events, familiar faces, or places you haven't visited in years. Your brain is sifting through your neural filing cabinets and tossing content into a blender labeled "Dream This." Odd fact. In one experiment, researchers woke participants during REM and asked them to describe their dreams. Then they looked for semantic similarities between the dream content and words spoken or heard earlier in the day. The overlap was shockingly consistent. Even if the dream didn't resemble the day's events, the themes and concepts lingered. So maybe your dream about climbing a staircase into a whale's mouth while holding a banana is just your brain symbolically organizing your feelings about a recent work email. Wild. Scientists still debate whether dreaming itself serves a function, or whether it's just a side effect of other vital processes like REM sleep, brain temperature regulation, or synaptic pruning. In this view, dreaming is like a screensaver, nice to look at, but not the main event. But here's the thing, we've all had dreams that feel meaningful. Maybe not in a textbook sense, but something about them sticks. A symbol, a moment, a feeling. It hangs in the mind like smoke, impossible to hold, but hard to ignore. Dream researchers are starting to take this seriously. Some studies now look at dream impact, not what the dream meant objectively, but how it changed the dreamer. Did it provide clarity? Did it shift your mood? Did it help you grieve, forgive, decide? Even if dreams aren't designed to help us, maybe they do anyway. And then there are those who dream creatively. Artists, inventors, musicians. Mary Shelley claimed Frankenstein came to her in a dream. Paul McCartney heard the melody for Yesterday while sleeping. Otto Lowy dreamed up the experiment that proved chemical signaling in neurons a breakthrough that won him a Nobel Prize. So whether dreams are evolutionary rehearsals, emotional vacuuming, or cosmic noise, something inside the sleeping brain continues to imagine. And maybe that's the point. Dreaming shows us that the mind can function outside logic, that stories don't have to make sense to feel true, that we can experience beauty, fear, love, and sorrow in a theater made entirely of electricity and memory. Your brain, after all, doesn't stop being you when you sleep. It just becomes a looser, stranger, more poetic version. So if science can't agree exactly why we dream, maybe that's okay. Maybe we don't need to know. Maybe it's enough to drift off tonight knowing that part of you will rise again in darkness, in silence, in the unpredictable flicker of neural lightning, ready to imagine a world you've never seen before. And if dreams really are your brain's secret cinema, then what's playing tonight might just be a creative breakthrough. Because believe it or not, your mind doesn't sleep on imagination. In fact, some of your most creative thinking happens while you're unconscious. Dreams and creativity go way back, long before humans had MRI machines or podcast hosts whispering about synapses. For millennia, artists, writers, scientists, and eccentrics have credited their biggest ideas to dreams. It's almost a cliché at this point, I had a dream and then. But here's the thing, there's solid neuroscience behind it. During REM sleep, when most vivid dreaming occurs, your brain's default mode network, DMN, lights up. This is the same network active when you daydream, reflect, or let your mind wander. It's where associative thinking thrives, your ability to connect seemingly unrelated ideas into something new. And here's the trick, while you're dreaming, your prefrontal cortex, the logic gatekeeper, is mostly offline. That's the part that usually says, no, that's ridiculous. Without it, your ideas don't get filtered or judged. A talking spider giving legal advice. Sure. A song made entirely of car horns and heartbreak. Why not? This is what creativity researchers call divergent thinking, making unexpected connections between distant ideas. It's basically dreamland's native language. Odd fact, Thomas Edison used to nap with a steel ball in his hand. The moment he started to drift off, right as dreams were forming, his muscles would relax. The ball would drop, wake him up, and he'd jot down whatever weird idea was surfacing. Salvador Dali did something similar, calling it slumber with a key. Honestly, kind of genius. Today we'd call this state hypnagogia, the transitional phase between wakefulness and sleep. It's a twilight zone for the brain, where hallucination sounds and spontaneous insights collide. It's also where some of the weirdest, most original ideas emerge. Scientists still debate whether REM or non-REM dreams are more useful for creativity. Some studies suggest that REM dreaming helps with problem-solving and emotional insight, while non-REM sleep might strengthen existing knowledge and structure. Either way, both sides of the sleep cycle play a part in shaping your creative potential. In one study, participants were given a pattern recognition task before bed. Those who dreamed about the task performed 10 times better than those who didn't. 10. Not double, not triple. 10. Dreaming doesn't just store memories. It reshuffles them, adds unexpected layers, finds analogies you'd never consider while awake. It's the brain saying, okay, what if we took this serious thing and gave it a tutu? Ever had a dream where you solved something? A riddle, a math problem, a personal dilemma? That's because dreams are like mind maps made of metaphor. Your brain takes raw material from your day facts, faces, feelings, and reimagines them into puzzles and symbols. Sometimes the result is nonsense. Sometimes it's gold. Often it's both. And this doesn't just apply to geniuses and surrealists. You too are a creative dreamer. That weird idea you had last week, the one where your coffee machine turns into a time portal that counts. That's your brain experimenting. There's even a term, dream incubation. It's when you intentionally plant a question or theme in your mind before sleep in hopes your dreams will explore it. It's not guaranteed, but researchers have had surprising success using this method to enhance creativity and problem solving. How does it work? You think about the problem, you visualize it, you fall asleep with it in your thoughts, and sometimes in your dreams something shifts. A new angle, a different approach, or just the confidence to try the thing your waking brain kept second-guessing. But here's a warning. Dreams don't always give clear answers. They're more like abstract art than instruction manuals. You might dream of a train underwater or a violin that speaks Spanish. And you'll wake up thinking, what the heck was that? That's fine. That's the process. Your dreaming brain isn't linear. It's associative. It doesn't solve problems directly. It helps you reframe them. It opens doors you didn't know existed. It replaces the whiteboard with a kaleidoscope. And creativity isn't about clarity. It's about possibility. So next time you're stuck on a project, a decision, a joke that needs one more punchline, try this, write it down. Think about it gently as you get ready for bed. And then let go. Don't force it. Just trust that somewhere in the quiet, rhythmic dance of REM, your brain is playing with the pieces, arranging them into something strange and maybe even brilliant. It might take days or weeks, but at some point you'll wake up with a gut feeling, a new idea, a weird hunch, a solution that's silly and genius at the same time. That's not magic. That's dream thinking. And who knows, maybe your sleeping brain is a better brainstorm partner than you realize. By now your body is so still, it's practically melted into the mattress. But inside your head, something elegant and electric is pulsing, your brain waves rolling through you like invisible tides. These aren't just poetic metaphors. Brain waves are actual electrical patterns, measurable rhythms of thought and sleep. And they're the secret soundtrack of your slumber. Let's dive into the lineup. While you're awake and alert, perhaps earlier today, when you almost spilled coffee on your keyboard, you were riding high on beta waves. Fast-focused and a bit anxious, beta waves keep you thinking logically, navigating traffic, and remembering your PIN number most of the time. But as you begin to relax, say while watching the ceiling fan spin or halfway into this bedtime video, your brain eases into alpha waves. These are slower, smoother, like switching from techno to lo-fi. Alpha is the bridge between wakefulness and sleep, often associated with meditative states and those odd little ideas you get in the shower. Then, as sleep deepens, the waves get slower. Theta waves take over in light sleep. These are dreamy, meandering patterns often linked to imagination and hypnagogic imagery, the moment when your thoughts begin to morph into dreams. Theta is like walking into the fog, hearing distant music, and wondering why the hallway keeps looping. And deeper still, delta waves. These are the slowest, most powerful brain waves associated with deep, restorative sleep, only a few per second. Think of them like the deep, slow swell of ocean waves in the dark, strong, rhythmic grounding. This is the kind of sleep where your body heals, your immune system reboots, and your brain starts scrubbing itself clean. Odd fact, during delta wave sleep, your consciousness is almost completely offline. If you're woken up here, you might sit up, stare into the void, and forget your own name for a moment. That's called sleep inertia. And yes, it's why your alarm clock feels like an act of violence. Now here's where it gets trippy. REM sleep. The dream factory is a strange beast. Despite being deep into sleep, your brain waves actually speed back up, resembling the same beta and alpha patterns you experience when awake. Your eyes dart, your breath quickens, and your brain becomes a theater of wild imagery and raw emotion. It's like your mind flips the switch from maintenance mode to artistic chaos. Scientists still debate why brain waves change so dramatically across sleep stages. Some say it's the brain toggling between memory storage and repair. Others believe it's a neurological dance, each rhythm cueing different processes like hormonal release, emotional filtering, and creativity. But one thing is clear: your brain is never off. It just changes tempo. Brain waves are more than background noise. They help synchronize different regions of the brain, like a conductor coordinating sections of an orchestra. During REM, emotional centers like the amygdala and hippocampus light up in harmony while the logic center snoozes. That's why dreams feel so vivid, but rarely make tax season sense. And during slow-wave delta sleep, large areas of the brain pulse together, locking into a kind of electrical group hug. It's thought that this synchronization helps with memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and clearing out mental clutter. Now for something a bit unexpected, binaural beats. Maybe you've seen these on YouTube audio tracks that claim to influence your brain waves by playing slightly different tones in each ear. The idea is that the brain hears the difference between the tones and adjusts its own rhythms to match in training itself to a specific wave state. Want more delta for deep sleep? There's a beat for that. Want theta for creative meditation? Plug in. Scientists still debate how effective this is. Some swear by it. Others say it's placebo with a fancy soundscape. But hey, if it helps you relax, ride the wave. Odd fact, break the EEG or electroencephalogram was invented in the 1920s, and the very first brainwave ever recorded was alpha by a German psychiatrist named Hans Berger, his patient himself. Which is just the kind of quiet, mad genius energy we love to see in sleep science. Now here's the gentle twist. Your brainwave patterns don't just change during sleep, they change with age. Babies spend half the night in REM. Teenagers have a delayed melatonin cycle, which is why they stay up late and sleep like the dead at 10 a.m. And as we age, we get less slow-wave sleep and more fragmented rhythms. It's like the brain's sleep symphony becomes a bit jazzier, with time less predictable, more improvisational. But the music still plays. And you've been riding that rhythm all night, cycling through brainwave states in 90-minute loops like a deep-sea diver surfacing briefly, then diving back down. Even now, as you listen, your brain might be slipping towards slower, softer waves, gently pulling you further into the night. So let go of beta, float through alpha, sink into theta, and ride the deep, wide tide of delta like a quiet raft through the unconscious. Your brain knows the way. Imagine this: you're sound asleep. Your eyes are closed, your muscles relaxed. Your brain is floating through REM sleep like it's on a magic carpet. And then you start talking. Maybe it's just a mumble. Maybe it's a full sentence. Maybe you declare loudly and with conviction that the soup is a lie. And you don't remember any of it. Welcome to the strange, semi-chaotic world of sleep-talking and sleepwalking, those nighttime side quests your brain occasionally runs without your permission. Let's start with sleep-talking, also known as somniloquy. It's more common than you might think. About 2/3 of people will talk in their sleep at least once in their lives. Most of the time, it's harmless, just bits of dream dialogue escaping into the real world. A slurred sentence here, a whispered name there. Occasionally, someone blurts out something so weird or hilarious that a roommate writes it down and turns it into a viral tweet. Sleep talking usually happens during non-REM sleep, especially during light stages. That means your body isn't fully paralyzed, and bits of brain activity can accidentally trigger vocal cords. Sometimes people speak in gibberish. Other times, full conversations. It doesn't mean you're stressed or broken. It just means your brain forgot to lock the door between dream logic and your mouth. And yes, there are sleep talkers who argue. There are sleep talkers who laugh, flirt, or confess to stealing your fries. And no, you can't use sleep talk confessions in court. Sorry. Scientists still debate why people talk in their sleep, but most agree it's tied to fragmented sleep moments, when the brain is transitioning between stages and the usual boundaries get blurry. Like an elevator stopping on the wrong floor for a second before continuing on. Odd fact, people who sleep talk aren't always aware of it unless someone tells them. And even then, their response is usually, "Wait, I said what? Now let's take it a step further." Sleepwalking or somnambulism is like sleep talking's big sibling with better legs and worse judgment. It typically occurs during deep non-REM sleep, usually in the first half of the night. And it's not just walking. People can perform complex actions, cooking, cleaning, opening doors, even attempting to leave the house. Some cases get wild. One person drove their car. Another climbed onto the roof. There are even rare cases of sleep eating, where someone raids the fridge in their sleep and wakes up surrounded by cheese wrappers with no memory of the feast. Here's the spooky part. During sleepwalking, the brain is partially awake enough to move, but not enough to form memories or rational decisions. It's like being stuck between sleep and wakefulness, acting out dreams or routines with no awareness. And the number one rule of sleepwalking: don't wake them violently. Yes, you've heard the myths. No, they won't die of shock. But they might be disoriented, panicked, or swing at you like a confused raccoon. The safer option: gently guide them back to bed like you're returning a borrowed NPC to their save point. Sleepwalking is more common in children, especially between ages 4 and 8. Their sleep cycles are still developing, and transitions between stages can be glitchy. Most grow out of it, but some adults still have episodes often triggered by stress, alcohol, or sleep deprivation. And then there's the rarest beast of all REM sleep behavior disorder, RBD. This one flips the script. Normally during REM, your body is paralyzed. But in RBD, that paralysis fails. So the dreamer acts out their dreams, kicking, punching, leaping from bed. It's more common in older adults and is often linked to neurological conditions like Parkinson's. These sleepers aren't just mumbling about soup. They're chasing dream burglars, fencing invisible enemies, or diving off imaginary cliffs. It can be dangerous for them and for bed partners. Treatment usually involves medication and securing the sleeping environment. Think pillow forts for adults. Scientists still debate the causes, but RBD gives us something wild, a glimpse into dream content. Because these dream reenactments can be compared with what the person reports after waking, we get a rare peek into what the sleeping brain was experiencing in action. Odd fact breaks some people text in their sleep. It's a relatively new sleep behavior thanks smartphones, and it's called very appropriately sleep texting. People have sent emoji-only texts, responded LOL to nothing, or scheduled weird events at 3:41 a.m. Again, they have zero memory of doing this. So what do all these odd behaviors tell us? That the sleeping brain isn't perfectly sealed off from the world. It's a leaky system with little moments of motor activity, vocalization, and action slipping through. Most of it is harmless. Sometimes it's hilarious. Occasionally it's terrifying. But always, it's a reminder that sleep is not stillness. It's motion in disguise. Your conscious mind goes dark, but your body remembers patterns. Your speech centers twitch. Your limbs rehearse. Your brain, even at its quietest, is humming like a machine left running overnight. So if you ever wake up and find your socks in the freezer, your phone in the sink, or a text that simply says, "Banana dentist, just know this, your sleeping self had a busy night." Maybe next time leave them a sticky note that says, "Hey, you're dreaming." Please don't reorganize the kitchen again. So let's address one of the great sleep mysteries. Why is it that you have dozens of dreams every night, but can barely remember a single one? You might wake with the soft outline of a dream clinging to your brain like fog, a color, a face, a lingering emotion. Then you blink, and it's gone. Why do we forget our dreams so quickly? It's not that you didn't dream. Most people experience 4 to 6 dreams a night, especially during REM. You've likely dreamed of weddings, underwater robot librarians, or that one weird high school teacher who suddenly knew martial arts. But your waking brain doesn't hold on to most of it. And that's by design. Let's break it down. During REM sleep, when most dreaming occurs, your brain is busy, but it's not recording in high resolution. The hippocampus, the brain region responsible for converting short-term memories into long-term ones, is less active during REM. Some scientists believe this forgetfulness is protective. Dreams are filled with distortions, absurdities, and emotional exaggerations. If we remembered every detail, we'd risk confusing dream events with real memories. That time you yelled at your boss while wearing a dinosaur suit, best to leave that in the night folder. But here's the twist: some people do remember dreams easily and often. Why? The key seems to be awakening at the right moment. If you wake up during or just after a dream, especially in the middle of a REM cycle, there's a good chance the dream will still be lingering in your short-term memory. But stay asleep for too long afterward, and your brain starts cleaning house. There's also a clear difference between high recallers and low recallers. Some are bland, an imaginary grocery, run a dream about tying your shoes for 30 minutes. Others are fragmentary, flickering images with no plot. But even those serve a function, and occasionally a dream fragment will resurface later in the day, triggered by a smell, a sound, or that strange feeling of déjà vu. Scientists still debate whether forgetting dreams is a bug or a feature. It's already done the behind-the-scenes work, reorganizing data, rehearsing behaviors, softening trauma. You're not supposed to read the script. You're just supposed to benefit from the edit. And in a way, that's kind of beautiful. Your brain works while you rest. It sorts and stitches and sometimes throws a parade of nonsense in the middle of it all. And when you wake, you may feel lighter, or calmer, or just rebalanced. The story is gone, but the effect lingers.